Hello everyone, Jason Meyer here. My lovely assistants, Izzy and Cindy, will not be here tonight, but they will be back on Sunday. So if you're tuning in for them, you have to be sure to return back here Sunday night, same time, same place, and they will be here. Just before going on air tonight, we had a few little technical difficulties, so I've had to do a couple of little workarounds. I think we've got it handled. But if there's a couple of bumps, just stay tuned. Hang in there with me. Hello, Claudia. Good to have you. So let's jump over to the iPad and talk about what we're going to be seeing tonight. So tonight we're going to be working the entire 20 minutes of the Sketch Club on the scene of the barn. For any of you guys that are new, that do not know, don't encourage people to copy. But we want to design. We want to create a beautiful drawing or painting, which comes down to beautiful light and dark patterns. So some of the things I grabbed onto for my light and dark pattern was, of course, the roof and the side of the barn. Right? We've got some nice dark shapes in there. Then I extended my light pattern, with the openings through trees down here. Then we got some tree limbs. And I did the same thing over on this side. The trees I used as a dark. And I made sure to let some air in there. You'll see that as we get going. And then the one thing I did invent is I created some grass up here, and I created that as darks. And that way we'll have this beautiful light held in with all this dark, and it'll be a very powerful image. You are always welcome to sketch however you like. This will not go on your permanent record. Nobody's going to come to your house and demand to see it. So if you like, follow me along. If you want to do something else, do it. Do it, do it, do it. Just have a good time. Take 20 minutes and let's draw a little bit. So Sunday we did 5 minutes. Tuesday we did 10 minutes. And so we're going to start having already done 15 minutes on this drawing. If you weren't here Sunday and Tuesday, that's fine. Just start fresh. No big deal. But so that'll be a total of 35 minutes for this one. Let's see. Anything else we need to talk about? I think that worked out okay. We got a couple minutes till 7 o'clock, and we'll get going. We're going to do a little screen share, and I hope that works out because, like I said, all my equipment wanted to start updating right as we were supposed to go on, so it didn't really want to talk to one another. But I think we have it handled. As always, if you're happy with how your sketching turns out, be sure to post them in the comments. We would love to see them. Hello, Miss Cindy Meyer, our co-host, is joining us from afar. I had some technical things, so we're going to do things a little bit different tonight. I have to do a screen share. I couldn't get the video loaded up, but I don't think that will be a problem. All right, well, let's go over and head to our screen share. See what kind of trouble we can get into tonight. You guys ready to go? Got something to mark on, something to mark with. Right? No inhibitions. There we go. Oh, and you know what I did not manage to get is I did not manage to get the reference image. So we'll just have to live without that tonight. Just have to live without the reference image tonight. Okay, so as I said in the introduction, we've got the dark trees behind the barn, framing the barn, and then we've got the grass up in front. And so we've got all that light nice and framed. What you're going to see me do tonight is turn it into what most people are going to feel is more of a drawing. I'm going to do the quote-unquote little things a little bit. So it's mostly refining tonight and expanding our dark shapes and our light shapes and refining them, making them a little bit more interesting. And it's real important to remember that your eraser is a tool and learn to use it to get hard edges and soft edges. So if you get things smudged out, you can come back in and pick out some good hard edges. I'm using a kneaded eraser here. We were just talking, hopefully by next week we'll have the supplies I use listed. So if any of you guys that are new aren't sure what to get or want to use the same thing I'm using, we'll have you hooked up for that. Again, just a casual walk in the park, right? You don't want to draw like a big group of judges are sitting over your shoulder critiquing everything you do. No, and you can do that to yourself, so don't do that. Let that judge council, give them the night off. Hey, Janie made it. Good evening, Janie. Good to see you. Good to see you. The barn. Claudia, I wish Raymond could see this. He worked on his barn for quite a few months. Stuck it in a vineyard. I was trying to remember what else. He had an old truck in there, a road up to the barn and through the vineyard. We're going to keep it a little simpler. Barn roof, barn sides, some passages through the trees. Don't need much more than that. It doesn't take a lot. So again, notice how when I darken this, and you'll be able to see this better on the rewind, as I darken, that barn's going to seem to get lighter. All right, so in painting, everything affects everything else. So you got to be aware of the whole thing as you're doing all these quote-unquote details. So as I'm working on these trees, I want to see how that makes the grass look. He did. Claudia said Raymond worked very hard on it. He did. He might have that framed in his house right now. I don't know, can't remember what came of that painting. And then I've also left some little bit lighter or not quite so dark that I'd like to come back later and develop into kind of a light shadow pattern on those trees. And that'll add even more interest. So in art, we always want to work from the big stuff to the small stuff. So I want to see that all those trees is just a big dark shape at first. And then as the painting is refined, we can refine those into a little bit different trees, some light and shade, different like that. But see them all together first. Get the big pieces in there before you start thinking about the little ones. So again, using that eraser, the eraser is a tool just as valuable as any pencil or anything else. Make sure to take advantage of that. For any of you guys in class too, notice, even as I'm working fast, I do my best to try to keep these tones even. Like the darks with the barn and the darks of the tree aren't aren't all that different, right? They read as one. And what I'm doing now is you know, how many barns, old barns, have you seen that are crystal clean, spotless? They're not, right? They're a little ragged and weathered. But as I do that, I'm not making marks nearly as dark as the trees or inside the barn, right? So there's a matter of touch or a matter of measure. So it's not crystal clean, but it's also not being confused with anything else. And so as I use some grays on the side of the barn, I can also use some white on the barn. And again, notice I'm not doing big, flat, but I want to indicate a weathered old roof, right? Weathered old roof. What would that look like? But we don't want any of our details to derail our big design, right? We're always looking at the big picture, our big design. It can be tricky too because you don't want it to get too spotty. You got to be careful. We don't want a bunch of white marks on that roof. It's gonna look a little crazy. So again, if you ever seen an old barn, have you ever seen an old barn standing out there in the middle of a field with nothing piled up around it or leaning onto its walls? No, there's always something around it, right? But again, these are pretty quick sketches. We've got 20 minutes tonight. I think I've got 5-6 minutes left or something like that. So we don't have time to draw a tractor and a bunch of hay bales and pitchforks and all that good stuff. Saddles. So just indicate some darks and leave it to the viewer's imagination. I think I was thinking I might get a cow in there, but it's a little too small and my tool's a little too rough. So but if the viewer sees a cow, then yeah, I drew a cow in there. And notice this grass up front. It's taller than those backwards trees. Do you see that? In that left corner, that tallest grass is literally bigger than those trees. And again, that helps set that barn back into space. Back into space. The grass is much taller than the barn. So then that light dark pattern you see there, so we've got the up to the barn and the rubbish, and then behind it, and then the dark of the trees and behind the tree, right? That's a stop, go. Gives the viewer a chance to go through and to rest. And I gotta make sure there's at least some dark up here in front, again, so that it appears near. And if I can manage to have my darkest marks somewhere up close, then that'll make that trees and that barn even seem more far away. I usually say further, but I always get made fun of when I say that word, so we'll say more far tonight. More far. Somebody get on me for my grammar. Freedom. So I'm working with the big ideas and then letting the little stuff happen. Not sweating the little stuff. We've got our big idea that we're going for, and then just suggesting the detail. Sometimes we think when we're doing these drawings, especially these quick sketches, like somebody's going to be coming in from some university and spending a year doing their PhD research on this barn you drew and how the boards were put in there and can it hold each other and what kind of grass. No, people are going to glance up and see it. So you need that big light dark pattern. I've got one fan of my funny pronunciations, so I'll take it. I'll take it. Again, instead of that big field of light up to the barn, can I get like a grass that's in between this near grass and the far rubbish to give us another step back into space? Why, sure I can. I bought that paper. I bought that charcoal. I own it. It's mine. I can do what I want. Always a good idea to connect your dark shapes. Connect all your shape, but also your darks. 2 fans. Oh my gosh. You guys are going to my head. I got 2 people that likes the funny way I talk. So excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. How are your barns coming? Are you starting to pull them together? Are they pulling together all right? Isn't it amazing? You just work with these big shapes and then just suggest a little detail and kapow! We got life in the country for our visual enjoyment. All right? A springboard for the imagination. Kinda? You kinda like it? Alright, I got 2 fans and a kinda. Wait, was that for your drawing or for my pronunciations? And the smudge tool. So what I'm doing here is just lightly rubbing and softening edges and graying some things up again. More to do. Oh, she kind of likes her barn. Alright, well kind is a lot better than not liking it at all, I guess. Alright, gotta look at the side. So if I kind of like some of my work, I say, hey, what do I like about this? And I'll sit over in a corner and I'll go, well, Jason, I like. And then the other part of me goes, well then what don't you like about it? And then that other part of me will, well, I don't like. And pretty soon, I got an idea of what I need to fix or work on or ask about. So it's okay to be your own friend. It's a good thing. All right, I had to clean the charcoal dust off of there. It's getting a little dusty. Ooh, I jumped the gun here. It says here that we still got 7 minutes left. Good, good, good. Lots of time to develop. Again, just, you don't see an old barn roof that's impeccable, right? No, 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 no. These things are weathered, beaten up. Had things fall on them, sun's beating on them, the rain, the cold, the heat. So we need to show a little distress, but while we're doing that, we don't want to break up too much that overall light shape. We still want it to read like a light shape against that dark trees behind it. Right. And then the same with the white. So the gray will darken it a little bit, and then the white will lighten it a little bit and help to depict a little weathering. Careful not to get your edges too sharp. It can be a little bit tricky. It's a matter of touch. And don't tell me you don't have touch. I don't want to hear it. Right? You ever had somebody try to snag your purse or rob you and you smack them away? Did you hit them with the same force that you kiss your little baby granddaughter with? No. No, we all have touch. That's all touch means, is more or less. And we can develop our sensitivity to it, but I don't want to hear nobody saying they don't have no touch. You got touch. We all got it. We all have it. So I don't know if you guys have been able to see it, for those of you in the painting classes, but I've actually been able to see a big difference, or I don't know if it's see or feel. It's more of a feeling. Easier moving through my work after doing all the sketching on a regular basis like this. Sometimes when we're working, we get so busy we get out of the practice. And we shouldn't do that. It pays dividends. Seems like my paintings are going a lot smoother, work a little quicker, more efficiently. Because my thinking's all sharp because I've been doing all this sketching. My visual thinking's on point. All right, some tall grass and weeds growing up next to the barn. Now we're getting authentic. Notice how my white and gray marks, they aren't all straight, are they? The boards on the barn aren't straight. No, they got some life under there. They've buckled and bent a little bit. Animals have been at them. The weathers have been at them. The mule was probably rubbing up against it, tearing it up. So the ground typically will be your lightest thing as far as ground or trees, right? The roof is also facing the sun. And by just adding some of that right there, it's going to make that foreground dark grass seem even darker. And notice how as I'm working back or up the page, these marks get shorter and shorter or have less vertical height. That again is an easy way to imply depth. Typically we're talking about three things, right? We always want to make things beautiful. And in this field, how can we do it? Well, visibility. Make sure your patterns are visible. Depth. Make sure they're three-dimensional, not two-dimensional. And movement. Wow, Janice says she missed about a week of sketching and could really felt out of shape, right? Yeah. You know, and even if you're not an artist and you're just doing this for fun, it really is amazing how it affects your mental agility, because it's a different way of thinking, and so you kind of have more reference points when you come upon problems you need to solve. Again, just accentuating certain parts at this point for the sake of the picture, of the image. Okay, so I was relatively happy with this one, 35 minutes. Under the gun being filmed. Not half bad. Not half bad. Not a light dark pattern. Remember I told you I left on those trees? Probably time to try to soften a few of those up. Even those tones out. The stumps and evening these tones out will really make a huge difference in your work. Going through, and I'm still working on some of the work for tomorrow's Friday feedback, and a lot of you could really, just by using that stump and evening the tones out, the work would just appear so much stronger. right? Kind of just simplifying that shape. And what that does, it allows your eye to come off of it. And it'll focus on the barn where there's more activity. So it looks like that's our 20 minutes. How did you guys do? Should we do a little review? Should be a little easier today. Let's see. Hopefully you guys, oops. There we go. Didn't even notice the little technical workarounds I had to do. I want to stop and bring your attention to right here. What I'm doing here is working in the corner of those barn doors, which is further back, and just adding it a little bit dark. And that adds so much life, it's hard to even tell you. Adds really so much life. So just that little hint right there. Okay, so we're going back all the way for 20 minutes ago. 20 minutes ago, we just weren't the same person. We weren't the same place. And see, we've got these big shapes that I keep insisting that you guys make, but it's not very satisfying. It doesn't, no, but it's the basis. It's the basis for then developing and expanding these darks and the measure of each of them. Right, so the detail sits on top of or within our big shapes. Right, but there's no detail that can come in and save big bad shapes. It just won't do it. It won't happen. Okay, and that's where I stopped at, guys. Oops, a little soon. So I hope you guys got some good sketching in. That'll be it for this week. Those of you in class, we'll see you in class for Friday feedback tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on the Zoom. And for the rest of you guys, we'll be back Sunday for sure for our next sketch club, and we'll have 4 new reference images, and we'll do 4 5-minute sketches. So I hope you'll join us then. Till then, it was great seeing you. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.